Welcome everybody to Can't Draw Horses Club. Which way am I going? Now I'm distracted by the stream preview in addition to my own face. Hello, I'm Corey.
Are you
And
sure?
which one's the real one? Ah! Uh gosh. Now I've lost my tabs. Did I even send a tweet? I didn't even send the tweet. I had the tweet prepped. You're not linked in it. It's just a tweet. No one cares. No, this is Angel.
Not that you would know on social media.
Angel has kindly accepted my invitation the last 45 minutes to join me here.
Yeah, I don't have a slideshow today, which makes me feel so unprepared.
See, that's why I didn't want to ask you yesterday, because then you just make a slideshow.
I would have.
I
Yes.
know! So, last year, around September, I peeked in and then ended up joining a custom D20 campaign that Angel was running with some coworkers. And last week on the 10th, that campaign ended. It's done. It's gone. Rip to those guys.
Forever.
Just and I enjoyed the ending. Most of the games I've played tabletop wise just fall apart and don't have an ending.
Oh yeah, I hate that.
Yeah. Like on Dice Friends it's usually kind of tied up with a little bow or a cliffhanger or something like that, but those are like 3 sessions. And then it's just like, well, I'll definitely remember this later. This had a big emotional impact on me. No. Although I did really like being a robot bear with chainsaw arms in that one Paranoia thing. That was good.
Sounds
But that
very
had nothing to
cathartic.
do with the ending. So yeah, we're just gonna be chatting mostly.
I mean, I did make some art for my campaign, so we can look at
We
that.
can look at that. All right.
Some of the tapestries.
Do you have them? Are they up on the wiki?
No, I don't think so. They only exist on my iPad.
Okay. You could also, if you can find the the colored crevasses, or did you fill tool those? People have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get to show a solid blank
Red
screen of color. Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to talk about the ending in general. I know people like talking about D&D things. Like Beach would run a panel at anime conventions that was like improv for role players, and the majority of the panel was just people telling D&D stories. So at certain points I do want to ask chat about their own experiences for certain types of things, but I first wanted to let Angel set the stage for the campaign that we did.
Okay, yes. So a little bit of background on the campaign itself. That's half of my face is off screen. There you go.
It's fixing it. There, you can have a name too. There, it's tiny.
Aww.
All right.
All good?
Yes, I'm done.
So, in the year 2019, many eons ago, I got a divorce. And I moved from Indiana to Washington State. And in an attempt to try to keep in contact with some of my friends, back in the Indiana area, I started a D&D campaign over Discord. Eventually, that's not what it was. Two of the people that were in the campaign left, and my coworkers joined, and then Corey joined. So it didn't serve the purpose that I started it for, but I had a good time anyway, and I hope you did too. So in the last session, the two of the players that were originally in the campaign joined for their guest appearance to finish their stories. And to remind everybody about the story that they were in, I wrote a little intro that explained all of the things that they were supposed to have discovered over the course of the campaign, some of which they successfully did and some of which they didn't. So I have to let Kitten in or she's just going to scratch the door the whole time.
That's fair. People can look at my solitaire game.
It's
kicking my butt.
So I'm going to read that intro that I made for them. Long ago, 4 ancient dragons ruled the continent. Ruby, the warrior, master of fire. Onyx, the deceitful, keeper of secrets. Sapphire, the muse, progenitor of beauty. Jade, the protector, a warden of nature. These dragons styled themselves as gods and created lesser dragons to serve them. Still not content with their worship, 3 of them created sentient species as servants. Ruby, humans, to wage war. Sapphire, elves, to create art and beauty. Onyx, halflings, to steal secrets. Eventually the people grew tired of serving their dragon overlords and went to the Jade Dragon for assistance. She devised a plan to seal away the others, but not all agreed. A faction of elves dissented, took their patron Quetzalcoatl underground, and refused to participate. The prisons were made and a trap was set. A great war was waged. The lesser dragons and humanoids, with great effort and loss, finally defeated the 3 gods. The soul of each dragon, once defeated, would be isolated in a realm of their own element, connected to ours through the great dragon mirrors. For each prison, a key was fashioned, made from the very soul of the peoples the dragons had created. The Jade Dragon created the dwarves to keep vigilant watch over the prisons and sealed herself away. Time passed and history faded into legend. The peoples mingled with each other and grew beyond and forgot their original purposes. They eventually discovered the bones of the ancient dragons and found that they still had power. Once processed into iron sand, the people were able to summon a tiny fraction of the dragon god's abilities. The magic leaked out of the prisons, weakening the barriers between the realms, allowing the dragon's souls to influence the world. Onyx set about a secret campaign to educate more people in how to use shadow magic to weaken her prison further. Ruby influenced the Empire to strengthen their martial prowess in preparation for serving him. Sapphire was disgusted by the elves' failure to create beauty in his absence and turned away from the world. The Ruby Dragon was the first to fight. 30 years ago, the Empire attempted an invasion of the Free Cities, with the secret intention of freeing the Ruby Dragon from beneath Kraith. Both sides of the conflict used countless amounts of iron sand to unleash powerful magics in defense of their friends and in offense of their foes. The demonic contract, the most formidable of magic, ripped spirits from the other realms, forcing them into servitude and bodies that were not their own. The city of Valbanil where most iron sand was mined by halfling slaves, grew rich beyond its wildest dreams, fueling the armies of the Empire and the free cities indiscriminately. Such misery was wrought among the common people, regardless of allegiance, that after 5 long years with no end in sight, the emperor's own brother assassinated him and brokered a truce with the free cities. The governments agreed to outlaw demonic contracts and restrict the trade of iron sand to the secular church to be exclusively used for the good of the people. Iron sand prices were fixed at a low price by the church, and Balbanil's fortune fell to ruin. An assassination attempt was made on the King of Elves. A would-be assassin was hung for his crimes. A family was driven from their home. A mother sought revenge for her husband. An orphan was adopted by beavers. A halfling slave escaped the iron sand mines. A young elven girl fell from a tree. A grandfather mourned. A mother was replaced with an impostor. A dwarf learned the truth of his order. An entertainer squandered her family's fortune. A sister abandoned her family. 18 months ago, a human poorly disguised as an elf and a bald albino halfling arrived in the peaceful port city of Adicea to seek merchant contacts and attempt to start their new clothing business. They stumbled into secrets they shouldn't have known, and a conflict they desperately tried to ignore. After months of journeying back and forth across the continent, acquiring and losing friends and foes, this is the end of their story.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
It's not distinctly different from what I have in my notes. My favorite parts are outlawed and assassination.
TXC2, how poorly disguised. He rolled a 1 on his disguise check, and so the description was rough paper mache ears and like a bright green polyester extra scratchy tunic. Like the cheapest Link cosplay.
Yeah, so I didn't get to meet that albino fashion designer halfling until like the last session. It was just, you know, a picture on the wiki. This is the little face.
Yeah, so the story behind that, my friend Daryl has never played D&D before, had no idea what to do, and Elle, who is just thought that it would be really funny, just would say the most absurd ideas, and Daryl would just go, yeah, sure. It's like, what do you want to be? A human, elf, dwarf, or halfling? And Elle would be like, you should be a halfling. And he said, okay. You should be a bard. Okay. So his character's name was Roberto, which I then took as some sort of canon to describe how halflings name themselves. There was a halfling character named Kaide. It represents a halfling starting a new family.
Okay.
They're like breaking away from their past, and so their new last name is the same as their old last name. Their first name.
Right. And the elves use animals.
Yeah, all of the elves had last names of mundane animals, which led to some interesting sentences.
Also, I think, you know, size mattered. So, like, the king of the elves was King Elk.
Yeah. The elves had a caste system based on how graceful and beautiful their family animal was. They had a NPC travel with them for quite some time, Gardathana, who was very secretive about what her last name was because she was embarrassed to be Mouse.
Oh.
Yeah. And then they met her grandpa. Grandpa Mouse was one of their favorite NPCs, and learned that he had married a snake, and that was very controversial back in the day because snakes eat mice.
Yeah.
No, King Elk, not Emperor Moose.
Well, I mean, the emperor was human, right? So maybe if he got adopted by,
Yeah.
because one of our dwarves got adopted by a beaver family.
Yeah, he decided to take the whole thing literally, where he was like, I'm a dwarf that was raised by beavers and then adopted into the beaver elf family, which was intentionally confusing.
Yep. Oh, and his name, Amik, is beaver in another language, right?
I don't know. Probably. That sounds like something he would do.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good time. Oh, God. Why is it called Demons of Velvenil? The campaign is called Demons of Velvenil, and it's about dragons.
So, the setting is very loosely based, and I don't recommend watching it. It's not good. On an anime called The Sacred Blacksmith.
Oh, right.
Which I think is all adapted from a light novel. That's where the names of the cities come from. So the things I took from that, the names of the cities, the fact that there was a war 30 years ago and that demons can inhabit things, which aren't like that's all. That's all that was taken from that. The rule system and the magic system was taken, and also the map was taken from a thing called the Dark Lore Campaign Primer, which is a take on D20 Modern with magic added back in. So, if you know anything about the D20 stuff, there was D&D 3.5 or 3.0 and 3.5 that was D20 open license, and other things could use it. So a company made what's called D20 Modern based on that, which is essentially D&D 3.5 with all the magic removed. And then the Dark Lore Campaign Primer added magic back in. So the conceit was a low magic setting. So there was magic around, but it was like rare. Like when I play like a 5th edition campaign, magic feels mundane, and I didn't like that. Like magic should feel special, which is how we ended up in that conglomerate of soup. And then I just took the rules from 5th edition that I liked. Like it gave things advantage and disadvantage, also to remove some of the math, because D&D 3.5 had a lot of math.
For a magic system where I had to basically track spell components, I really appreciated only having one spell component for all magic.
Yeah.
Even if it was Dragon Bones.
That was from Dark Lore. So the wizards had a spell component that they just had to keep track of, and then sorcerers had spell slots per day, which is pretty standard.
I've got the map here to look at.
Yeah, that's kind of squished.
Imagine it's wider.
I don't know why it was so squished. One of my favorite things when they were looking at the map, they were like, that island down on the southeast, they were very curious about that island.
That one by the dragon?
Yeah. It was called the Isle of Truth.
Oh, great. Yeah,
And
let's
they're
all go
like,
there.
let's all go there. What's that about? And I had one of them roll a history check, and they're like, oh, well, it was just named after a guy whose last name was Truth.
You know, in the 1600s. It's just a guy sailing around, circumnavigating this place, this awesome
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
But to get back to your question, so the campaign had a story in place. So there was a civil war happening within the church because the iron sand mines had been depleted, and they were discussing what to do about it, and there were disagreements on how to handle the situation. And part of it was what to do with all the demons that had been left over from the war. So they were
So
at
many
that
demons,
point,
can't hold
were
them all.
just they were demons in people's bodies, and then the after the demonic contract expired, they had free will. And so some of the people in the church was like, we need to find all these people and execute them. And some of the people in the church were like, no, let's let them live their lives. And so there was a bunch of demonic orphans in the first city that they that they started in, whom they met and took a liking to one of them. Her name was Ashtani. Didn't know she was a demon at the time. And so the first part of the story was like trying to deal with that conflict. However, my players like to completely ignore the story that I make. And so they eventually adopted this demon child, and she was traveling with them. And they had to deal with her increasingly demonic attributes.
Bottomless stomach.
Bottomless stomach. They directed her to eat one of her enemies, or one of their enemies. And when she ate people, she transformed into a terrible monster. She eventually was terrorizing the city of Valbonel, eating the residents, and they had to find a way to either defeat her or transform her back. And that was the original end of the campaign. But at that point, it was 2020, and we were in lockdown, and everyone was really bored, and they're like, let's keep playing.
Right.
So then I had to fill in the rest of the story.
I saw it was probably not a real question earlier about oh yeah, Quixotic Scrivener needs to know more about the secular church. And that's, I guess, just because the dragons were actually gods, and so the church wasn't connected to them on the surface.
The church wasn't connected to them, so the church was established just as a like charitable organization. They were responsible for like training healers and running orphanages. So there was no like pantheon in the world. There was no god that people worshipped. And the conceit of dragons was that people believed they had existed, that they were like just real animals, like dinosaurs, but they were all gone. So when like dragons started showing up and flying around, people were freaking out.
Well, there's that and the explosions, you know.
Yeah, maybe flying around wasn't all they were doing.
Most of the cities on this map are smoking piles of rubble or black goo.
Yeah, Stockbridge is a big pile of black glue.
Nasty black goo.
Adicea has a lot of structural damage and fire damage, but is kind of still standing. Valbonel was abandoned, and or its people eaten. Before that happened, the halfling slaves staged an uprising and like murdered all the rich people.
Yep.
So when they first arrived in Valbenil, it was like creepy abandoned mansions.
Cool.
Kraith fell into its own crater. So the city of Kraith was like on a rock pedestal with what I called a moat around it, but it was a moat that was bottomless with no water in it. Just
all the way
nothing.
through the planet.
Just all the way through. Well, there was a bottom, but you couldn't see it. And the city was collapsed into it and is gone. All the elves city of Dremont was abandoned because the Sapphire Dragon demanded all the elves leave and come to Odyssea. Brackenwood, it's still there. Half the people are starving to death because the full-size army decided to take their provisions.
That's the halfling army.
Yeah, he named it the full-size army. And Husman was just attacked at the very end by the Sapphire Dragon and was beat back by the halfling full-size army.
They did something.
They did.
We were all having a big finale over here, and they went that way.
I mean, I'm not going to tell the players what to do.
So there was a question, as how many did you fail to prevent versus how many did you directly cause? All of them. In some way.
Yeah, so, well, they started in Husman, was the city they started in, where they discovered that a bomb had been planted in the secular church, but they failed all their checks to identify what it was. So they picked it up and carried it around.
Right?
Rolled a natural 1, dropped it, and in like the second session, killed their animal companion.
Okay.
His bad. That didn't destroy the city, but it certainly set it off in a bad direction. They found that the priestess there, who had been the main proponent of not killing the demonic people, had been murdered. And they were briefly blamed for the murder and then deflected it onto this one guy at the church named Brandon, who they just didn't like because he smiled too much. And then they skipped town. Ended up in Brackenwood, where the dragon man Recruiter Sen was trying to track them down, and in doing so, burned much of the village. They got arrested for graffitiing somebody's home. They did, in fact, graffiti someone's home, and then were arrested. They did discover that there were terrible murders taking place in Brackenwood, because it turns out what the church was trying to replace Iron Sand with was killing the people that had magical powers, so sorcerers.
Right.
And grinding up their bones to use for magic.
Lovely.
That had a terrible side effect of addling the mind of anyone that used it. Which is why a lot of the people that you all met of the church did not have all their marbles, so to speak.
Because they were snorting people.
Yes.
Right, they were like cutting off legs and then...
Mm-hmm. There was a whole processing factory they found.
And maybe I should have warned people. That's what I talk about. This that there's some stuff that maybe a little body horror, maybe just some extreme violence.
Uh,
My character was racist because I grew up in a city with halfling slaves. So I had some opinions about short people.
yeah, was not a PG-13 campaign.
Yeah, there wasn't really any like relationship stuff though. At least not between the PCs.
The one thing that happened was the player Ivan, or the character Ivan, was seduced by another player character's sister. They had their little fun, and then she drugged him, tied him up, and stole all of his things. One of the things she stole was a sword that they had acquired that had a demon soul in it, which then took control of her body, and they had to fight her off and get her back. It was so the character of Tamia,
Okay.
which I believe was gone before you joined the
Oh yeah.
campaign. So she was a demon that was pulled into the world to inhabit a sword rather than a person. And she did not know how to be a person. And so she would do things like not breathe, not sleep, not eat, that everyone found very unsettling. And so when she took over the body of Lucinda, the character who was the sister, didn't know how to take care of the body. She like wouldn't eat. And then they
Oh,
tried to give her something. She just like threw soup at her stomach.
great.
Like, how does this work? It had like no inhibition about having the body injured because she was used to having like this super powerful, indestructible body. So she got her hand all mangled up and was like, "What's this? Why is there pain?"
That must have been such a fun bit of the campaign.
Yeah. Lucinda was my favorite antagonist, I think.
She was an
Um,
antagonist?
I mean, I wouldn't call her a villain, but she hated her brother because their mother had died in childbirth, and because their father was selfish and didn't want to lose living a luscious lifestyle, he made a pact with the Onyx Dragon, who sent a shapeshifter to take the place of their mother. And so he grew up not knowing this, but his sister knew this. And so she just hated him his whole life, and he didn't really know why. Um, when they left the city of Husband, they were in a caravan that was created to like stick together in higher numbers to be safer from wolves and whatnot. They were attacked by bandits, and one of the bandits was Lucinda.
Whoa.
And so they're like, I don't know if we want to fight these bandits. So they just left the caravan and the bandits to fight each other and went out in the woods and slept.
So the character of Lucinda's brother, which is one of the player characters,
Mhm.
would change his name a lot, and also he got turned into a lizardman. But also he had a low charisma score and some like
Brain damage.
not brain damage. I
Well, no.
meant like stat things about like being repugnant.
Oh, yeah. When he turned into a dragon, he was clumsy and scary.
Right.
So, like, animals didn't like him, and he had, like, disadvantage on dexterity things.
Yeah, but he'd also play they would also play the low charisma as just being uncooperative.
Yeah, I don't think that quite makes sense. I don't attribute that as something that a low charisma character would have to do. That was just a choice.
That was a choice. Yeah. That and the name changes. Because at the end, uh, so y'all know that, was it? It's like a Tumblr post when Toblerone offered uh custom Toblerone packaging, and the person makes an order while drunk or high and ends up with Tiblobnorn. That was his name when I met him. That was the character's name.
Yeah, he went through many name changes throughout the campaign. The character's name was Amadeus,
That's the
I
last name,
believe.
isn't it?
Is that his last name? I
'Cause
don't even
that's
remember.
Helene is.
Yeah, that was his mom.
Yeah. So maybe his name was Amadeus.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't Amadeus, and
Are you
Roberto.
sure? Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because
Leonardo.
we went through a few. Yeah, Leonardo.
Is Leonardo.
Then Loki and Gandalf. Like, we went through a list.
Yeah, Leonardo, Loki, Gandalf. Red was his name for a while. He decided to use my cat's name in an attempt to confuse me, and only attempted to confuse themselves instead.
Tragic. But yeah, during the pandemic, I wasn't necessarily feeling like playing a heavy social game.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was listening in on some stuff and, T-Blob just lays down in a field and gives up, I was like, yeah, this is my energy. So yeah, leaving a combat site with just a caravan, fighting off some bandits to go have a nap is it's very on point.
When the elves had to leave Dremet, they had to march through Craith, which did not want to let them through. And so there was a big confrontation at the gates of Craith that they were up on a cliff and were watching from above. And instead of watching the battle, they went to sleep. And so they just woke up to the aftermath of the battle and they didn't know what had happened.
So the dragon stuff, like, they ended up falling in a hole and finding the mirrors, right? Was that the order that happened in? Because there's the mirrors that sealed the dragons, right?
Yeah, so there's several copies of the mirrors throughout the realm.
Oh, I thought there was only one. Okay.
No. So they found a mirror room in the mayor's mansion in the city of Valvanel, where they took Tamia because they discovered that he had commissioned her in the image of his mother, and she was supposed to be delivered to his house. And they took him there, or they took her there, decided they didn't like him. They killed him, threw his body in the basement, and they learned from the servants that there was supposed to be a dinner party that evening. And so they decided to pose as the servants and entertain the guests themselves. So the guests started arriving, and they recognized a few of them, and they didn't put any story points together about why the particular group of people was there. And so they served them dinner, and then just started exploring the house. They left the dinner party to their own devices and started exploring the house, and they found this room with the 4 dragon mirrors in it. And then they didn't really identify what was going on because they heard screams from
all the guests dying
from downstairs. all the guests had been poisoned. And the NPC that had been traveling with them, Moira, who was a part of the secular church that they had met in Hoosman, she had left Hoosman on a journey of her own, and the demon child Ashitani that they had adopted was like, I really miss Moira. I want to find her. We need to track her down. And so they're like, okay, we'll do that for you. And so they were tracking down Moira. So they heard Moira scream, and they went down and they found her grandfather, the King Elk, who had been one of the guests at the party that had been poisoned to death, was miraculously back to life and trying to murder her.
Sounds like him.
So like, don't do that, and they interfered.
Don't do that.
And the king took out Tlobnorn, or whatever his name was at the time. He died in that battle.
Right.
Bashed his head in with a golden mace, which is where the brain damage comes from. And Moira was like, I can fix this. And they're like, that's weird. And so she used her exceptional healing magic to bring him back to life while they fought off the king and defeated him. But at that point, Moira had used so much powerful magic that it broke the seals on the Sapphire Dragon, who at that point escaped from underneath the mayor's mansion and exploded the city of Albano.
So, is that their fault? Could they have prevented it?
I mean, over the course of the campaign, I expected the dragons to escape. I didn't, like, define that it would, but it was like a time bomb, right?
Yeah.
Is the amount of magic that was being used and the power level of it over time would have broken down the prisons eventually.
Not just like immediately.
It was a little early.
All right. I'd like to take a break at this moment, get some water, cycle fluids, maybe have a snack. So, see you all again in a few minutes.
Bye.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Can't Draw Horses Club. Today, Angel and I are discussing the end of a custom campaign that ended last week that Angel ran. Oh.
I have the real map.
Setting up another screen. I did not prep this for...
I told you that's what I was doing.
No, I mean for the stream itself. I didn't prep this scene.
Failure. I was catching up on chat and Temley asked a question about where I work, which is not a personal question. So I work at a company called StyleSeat, which does it's a website for beauty professionals that allows you to do scheduling and online booking and stuff. And in 2019, when I moved from Indiana to Washington, I was already working 100% fully remote, and so I just kept the same job.
Mm-hmm.
It was a company based in San Francisco at the time, and now is based in Atlanta, but everyone is fully remote at this point.
Yeah, and you're like a back-end developer?
Mm-hmm. My specialty is making things that are slow go faster. So most of the time you can't tell that I've done anything.
The perfect crime. No one will ever know. That's often because, like, I worked in games and yeah, no one can tell what you've done. Mm-hmm. Especially if nothing's drawing on the screen. But also, I hate optimization. Ugh. I have
It's
no
my
idea how it
favorite.
works. I can't. I can't do it.
Just make it
Floppy.
do exactly the same thing that it used to do.
So much work. Just to get it right the first time. Never refactor.
Hmm.
But anyways, yeah. So here's the physical map, all stretched out.
Yeah, this is actual size, actual paper.
Actual size,
Um,
actual paper.
yeah, so this map. If you look at the Dark Lore campaign primer, you will see this map. Except it doesn't have any of these cities on it.
Okay.
So in the beginning, when I was running this campaign, I had never run a campaign online, and so I wasn't really very high tech, and so we used this as our battle map, this pad of paper as
Right.
our battle map. So there's some other leftovers in here. As you can see, this is one of the places that they went.
Yep. Got the old pencil on white paper on camera.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Classic.
what does that even say? Where was this? Nope, this was a different campaign.
Oh, what?
That was the thing I ran for work.
Secrets.
Secrets. Okay, this is a picture I drew on Candor Horses Club. If
Yep.
you will remember the episode on labyrinths,
Yes.
where we designed a labyrinth for my players in my campaign at the time of Corey, you were not one of them at the time.
Yep.
This is where the candy forest came from. The painful look on your face.
I hated that place. It's my fault. No. Oh, God. We almost starved to death.
I don't know why.
All the delicious candy. The dirt was brownie batter. Like, it was full of displacer beasts. But that's ahead of where we were and kind of talking about the campaign. That's much for I was there for that.
Yes, you were.
Ah. Oh, I got. Oh, I'm crying.
Oh, here we go. This is a classic.
Oh.
Just a bunch of stick figures.
Yep. That's our party.
Yeah. This little rectangle here that you can't see at all, it was a raft. So after the end of the campaign in Valbanel, where they defeated the demon child and reverted her back to her childlike self.
Yep.
Things got weird. Things got much weirder. So they started encountering people from outside of their own world.
Right. I guess that is weird. I guess if you don't just spend all your time reading portal fiction, it's weird.
So yeah, it started when the demon sword Tamia, they ordered her to pick up an evil book because they didn't want to touch it, and they're like, surely Tamia will be immune to this evil book.
That's probably what they thought.
Yeah, that's what they thought. They were wrong. So the evil book took control of Tamia, their They're indestructible, super powerful demonic sword lady. And so they were gonna try to fight her, and then decided that that was a bad idea and ran away. And one of the players was killed by one of the spider dragons.
Right. There were spider dragons.
There were spider dragons. So the lesser dragons that the 4 dragon gods created had started popping up in the world. One of them was the spider dragons.
Yeah, yeah. Stuff got weird because there were people coming in from different dimensions. Not the spider dragons.
I guess
those were always there.
Content warning for body horror. It was sort of an alien situation. The elves that had been captured in their failed assault on Kraith were being used to incubate spider dragon eggs in the dungeons. And they found that out when one of them escaped with the incubation period not quite complete. And they're like, we'll help you. And then she exploded into a bunch of spider dragons. It was bad.
So this was after the thing in Balvanil or before? Like the
After.
thing at the yeah, so the mayor's house blew up and
The Sapphire Dragon escaped.
Sapphire Dragon escaped.
So then they ran away to, well, they went through the Dragon Mirror.
Oh, they went inside.
They went inside into the Onyx Dragon realm, where they freed a prisoner, and then that was one of the newer player characters. That was Sam.
Okay. Sam Flintstrike, dwarf.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So they freed him, and he joined the party.
He's a sorcerer, right?
Yeah, he was illusionist,
Okay.
which I don't know if you ever saw him cast an illusion, because something terrible happened. Because I guess that's the theme of my DMing. So, yeah, they escaped from the dragon realm into out of another version of the Black Dragon Mirror into the city of Adicea, which was under assault by the Sapphire Dragon at that point. Ran away from it into the sewers, found a secret passage that took them down to what's called the City of Light,
Right.
which is where the faction of elves that had left at the very beginning had established their city.
With the Quetzalcoatl.
With the Quetzalcoatl. The Quetzalcoatl had since died, and there was a split in the ruler. So there was a young girl that called the Oracle, and her advisor was an old lady. And in reality, they were actually the same person. It was like she had created this illusion of this mean old lady to
bully herself.
It was messed up. But so in the end, she was like, "Please kill me." So they killed her, and she left her staff to Sam, and it had the amazing ability to make his illusions reality for a brief period of time. And then later on, in the fight with the spider dragons, they ignored the first time, who had decimated the elven.
Did they just walk away?
Army. Yeah, that's where they slept through the battle.
Yeah.
They didn't see the spider dragons destroy the elven army.
Right.
So they didn't know about them.
Yeah.
So when they went back to the Seat of Kraith, they had to fight one of the spider dragons, and their tactic was to dive bomb. So the spider dragons would just crash into the earth to smash whatever was under them. And his staff got broken at that point. They tried to fix it, and the fix roll was not good. So it was tied together with some grass. And so they tried to use it later on to make a bridge between the cliff to get back into the City of Kraith. And there was an elf on the other side, and they're like, this bridge is going to be real. Don't worry about it. Walk over the bridge. Rolled a natural 20 on his diplomacy check to convince this elf that the bridge was safe. And the bridge was only half real. It was on their side, it was solid, because the staff
So they're like,
worked.
tap, tap, tap. Look, it's a real
tap, tap, tap.
bridge.
It's fine. And the other elf was like, okay, and then walked right off into the bottomless pit. And at that point, they're like, we're not using this staff anymore.
When did Sam get mind reading?
Yeah, so after Tamiya got possessed by the evil book, they started running away, and the ground underneath of them started collapsing. They were in this chamber that was made of like sand and all these red crystals. And Sam got stuck in the middle and couldn't get out. And he got the voice of the Quetzalcoatl from the power of the staff. So that time, he completely broke the staff in half to release the spirit of the Quetzalcoatl, which gave him powers of flight and mind reading to escape. So eventually the staff did give him those powers.
That's right, we had a magical flying dwarf who could read everyone's minds.
Yeah, it was not optional.
It was great.
He had this drawback condition, which I think only came up once ever, where if he slept within 30 feet of anyone else, he became exhausted because he couldn't stop hearing everyone's thoughts. So at first he was like, let's just take it as read. I'm going to sleep 30 feet away from everybody at all times. And then he was stuck in a room with a bunk bed with the beaver dwarf and forgot about this drawback of his powers.
Oh, okay. So, their reign of destruction continued back east again, didn't it?
Yeah, so it went. There was
a bit of backtracking.
They went back and forth. Let me just go back to the map. Well, because in Adicea, they went underground into the City of Light, and then they came up like in the southeast part of the continent. They came up like down here in this forest, and then they traveled back up here, went through here and over here, then went back over here, and then decided to go through the Empire to get to Stockbridge because they knew Adicea was under assault by the Sapphire Dragon. They didn't want to go back through that way.
So they weren't like trying to do anything. They were just trying to avoid where things were happening.
No. So they had a mission. They had a mission. There was a mirror, a small hand mirror that had been basically cut out of the Jade Dragon mirror. So through a series of flashbacks and knowledge checks, they knew that this hand mirror needed to be restored to the Jade Dragon big mirror so that they could ask the Jade Dragon for assistance in taking out the other dragons again.
That's not bad. That's something.
They had pieces of the broken mirror, but they were missing one piece. And they're like, I'm sure that Lucinda stole it from us. So they sent their demon hunter friend, Ishna, to hunt down Lucinda. While they said, we'll meet you in Stockbridge because we think that that's where the big mirror is so that we can assemble all the pieces when we get there.
Friend, Ishna.
Ishna is a demon hunter. Her backstory was that the Empire had been having a hard time with the demons appearing, and they needed more backup, so they were letting their convicted felons out of prison and ordering them to become demon hunters to like commute their sentence.
Right. And she had one eye.
She had one eye.
And she couldn't shoot a thing.
She had a magical crossbow that would blind people. And she was really bad at aiming. So she was tracking demons, and at that point, the character known as Tiblobnorn, but something else at the time, had been infected with a demonic curse that was turning him into a lizard man. And so he like popped the demon radar that she had, and she tried to kill him. And she failed because she has bad aim. And they're like, please be our friend. We promise we're not actually demons. And she's like, well, I guess hanging around you will find me more demons than going by myself. So she traveled with them for a while on that premise.
And they spent the entire campaign dunking on her.
At one point, Sam like tried to say something nice to her and rolled really high on his diplomacy check and like accidentally flirted with her. And she was like, I never thought I would see myself with a dwarf. Because she could read his mind.
Yeah.
Or he could read her mind. Yeah, but then they sent her off to catch Lucinda, and then Lucinda ensnared her in her schemes.
And bed.
And bed,
They hooked up.
They did.
Yeah. So they were wandering through the wilderness and past a bloody river and some army bodies, and then got teleported. Is that what happened? Is that how they ended up there?
So you're talking about Rael's camp?
Reiko,
yes, Reiko's camp. So they were traveling through the Empire to get to Stockbridge to find the help of the Jade Dragon. Eventually, on the way, they found that they actually already had all of the pieces of the mirror, and they're like, oops.
Did they forget? Because they found that later.
They found that while they were in Reiko's camp.
Yeah.
So, they were on their way to Stockbridge, and they decided to build a raft to float down this river instead of walking the whole way.
Lovely river. Love that river.
And at some point, they found a bunch of skeletons floating in the river in
That's how you know it's a healthy river.
Yeah. And the skeletons attacked them. And they used... I guess I should back up a little bit. After they entered the Empire, things got weird. People from other places started showing up. They went into a cave, and I don't even remember why they went into this cave, but they went in there and saw like visions of these strange people, and one of them gave them an axe as a gift, the bloody axe.
Yeah. If your axe bleeds for more than 2 years, like. Maybe get that checked out. Maybe don't use that axe.
Yeah, I suppose I should explain the conceit of this. So, at this point, so much magical energy had been released, and not only did the reality start breaking down from the dragon prisons, but other realities started leaking in.
Right.
So they went to this cave. And it was essentially a mini Call of Cthulhu event in that cave, where there was a creature that needed a companion, and it was it required a sacrifice. They sacrificed this lady that they had just met. Be like, here, take her. But
Heroes.
they were never heroes. But during the events of that cave, they met the vision of a woman called Numis, who was a Native American warrior with a psychic sister who they had adventures of their own. But she had an axe that she gifted to Ivan to help defeat the monster at the end of the cave, which they in fact did not decide to defeat it. They decided to bargain with it. so he kept the axe. The axe is essentially a berserker axe, where if somebody hits him, he has a chance to go into a frenzy and cause him to attack anyone nearby. It also was a very possessive axe, where if he tried to use some other weapon, he had disadvantage. So during the fight with these skeletons on the river, they had this bloody axe. And Ivan did, in fact, get hit and went into a bloody frenzy and beheaded one of the other characters.
That's why you don't take the bloody axe.
Because it was also a Vorpal axe. Like it had.
Oh yeah, that axe did a lot of head chopping.
Yeah.
There was a lot of wisdom saves.
And so the character that got beheaded was the same character that was killed by the king in Valbano, which caused the the blue dragon to be escaped because Moira had to bring him back with powerful magic. And so he was brought back again with the magic of Maeve, who was a dwarf that was traveling with them, who used her powers. She turned him to stone, she petrified him, and then used mend to put it back together.
That's cool.
But that caused the breakdown of the Green Dragon's prison and further bad things to happen. And at that point, a tiefling named Reiko felt this magical energy and sent her emissary to find them and bring them back to join her army to overthrow the emperor.
Is that Hanada?
Yes, Hanada.
So, large man, little horse. Got it.
He was I described him as a sumo wrestler on a Clydesdale. Like, it was a large man on a large horse.
Little horse. Big brain.
Yeah, so he was sent to find them and take them back, and she tried to convince them to join her army, and they were having no part of it, but also wouldn't leave. And they're like, we think you're up to something to no good. And so they were in this camp where all of these different people from different campaigns were gathered. There was a woman so there was a spaceship from an Aliens campaign that had crashed, and a woman that was traumatized by seeing chestbursters. And so she was like, everyone's a monster. And she tried to murder the whole camp, and they had to take her down.
Right. And they tried to lead an uprising against Reiko for no reason. I mean, you know, they thought she was like a despot or something. Also, the emperor's son was there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a douche. He's like, I don't want any part of this, but you can use my name, and I'll just sit here in luxury.
At least he got a room full of pillows.
Yeah.
Not a room full of scary tapestry or boxes.
Yep, so everyone that came from a different realm, different campaign, had what was called an anchor item. So it was a thing that was special and pertinent to that person that kept them in one piece in this new reality. And when you take that anchor item away from the person, they essentially cease to exist.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have a powerful new item. Like Amik got the fanny pack full of endless cookies.
That was the best item. I mean, all the cookies had nuts, but that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just a bottomless food bag. So good. The other items, because this is when I joined, there's some cool stuff. There's like the Walkman.
Yep, yep. We had the Walkman that had the 80s mixtape in it, which is from, if anybody here saw it, it was never put on YouTube, the vampire campaign that I was in, Sin City by Night. My character Lane had a Walkman, and she made an 80s playlist for one of the other characters because she was kind of stuck in time from having lived underground for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so randomly 80s music would just start playing in the campaign. That was fun.
That was fun. Sometimes. And the music would give Ivan different buffs, which was also cool. It was cool that the music was real and part of this playlist, and then also that different buffs would occur, and not. We could get to it. Other items.
The umbrella that controls the phases of the moon.
Yeah. I got a parasol that if you open it, it makes it nighttime and a full moon.
Yeah, so that's one of the characters that's infected with lycanthropy. So that was intended for you to be able to control when you transformed into a werewolf. But you decided to solve that a different way.
By killing the werewolf.
No, that's not what happened. Yeah, you killed the werewolf, but that didn't fix the curse. Instead,
the lycanthropy. I wasn't the one bit.
No, it was a meek beaver would have been a werebeaver wolf. Would have been interesting.
Let's see. Well, T-Blob took him to a tent full of coffins and tried to patch him up with, like, I don't know, mud and bubblegum. Licorice roots. Just random crap. And then stuck him in the coffin, and he went missing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turned out because he had plant powers, pulled underground.
He had died from being stabbed through the chest with a spider dragon, ended up in a fragment of the world that was left over from the end of a different campaign, where Rael, the very powerful druid, gave him a feast. He had so many amazing drinks to choose from to determine what powers that he would get when he was brought back to life. There was like a thimble of wine, there was like a mug of ale, there was all this stuff. And he was like, I want the tin dirt full of worms. Give me that.
Yep.
And so he was reborn with the powers of Shambling Mound, which gave him immunity to lightning. Actually, lightning would heal him, and he had plant arms that would activate when he punched things and devour people.
Mm-hmm. So he did punch the werewolf, but got his entire arm stuck in its mouth and bit several times, and the player was away for a while, so the character was kind of dormant. And so what we did is wandered around the camp, asked the doctor, the nice doctor who was there, what to do, tried to get information, and then it was like, okay, you need wolfsbane, but it doesn't grow in this particular region at this time of year. So we fast forwarded 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how.
So Maeve, who was the one that brought to Blobnorn back by putting him to turning him to stone and mending it. Used the last remaining vestiges of her power to fast forward time. So you all were encountering some very powerful NPCs who, in fact, were what we called keys. They were taken from the dragon prisons and brought to life by people that had lost loved ones. So Moira, the granddaughter of King Elk, had died when she was very young, and he saw a way to bring her back and did so by stealing the key to the prison of the Jade Dragon and bringing it to life as Moira. I later regretted this decision. He's like, that's not really her, and he sent her away to live in a monastery.
Right.
Which is why she was in Adicea.
All of these key items ended up like sacrificing themselves for the party and turning into little statues.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So when they used up all their magic, they ended up in their original form as little statues that sat on top of the dragon mirrors. Those statues actually had amazing powers that you guys didn't really use.
I tried so many things with so many different rocks. Like, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
And those schemy halflings.
Oh yeah, you had the halfling one.
Yeah, I had the halfling one.
Poor Clover.
She's fine. She'll get better. But we'll make it happen. So what happened is, I joined the campaign and had a tiny little backstory where I met with like the Elven Underground in Adicea, got given a riding polar bear that could transform into a statue that I could also carry. And I had no weapons, just my spells, and no Iron Sand to cast anything big with, like the 0th level spells I could cast.
Low magic campaign.
Yeah. Yeah, I built a wizard. And then I blew all of my big spells in the backstory. So yeah, I followed the trail and ended up in the camp, but Reika the tiefling is the one that basically teleported me in, and we had a little talk in a dark void, and then I got teleported into the camp above the medical tent, and my polar bear crushed a halfling, and I got blamed.
Yeah, so the halfling was in the medical tent because the aforementioned woman from the Alien campaign had taken a machine gun to the camp denizens, and they saved her, which is how Ivan ended up with her anchor item, which is the powder that grants a wish.
Oh, that he never used.
Never used. So that's what she was in the medical tent recovering from the wounds.
Yep.
From the machine
under
gun.
the loving care of Dr. White. Was she transported in from another dimension?
Oh yeah. Dr. Samantha White is from a game called The Between, which is like a Penny Dreadful type setting, and she was essentially a Dr. Frankenstein analog.
Yeah.
Her whole backstory was that she had lost her husband and built a replacement.
So she was she spent the entire time at the camp getting ready for her future wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And saying creepy stuff.
Oh, I love Dr. White. You went in for your examination. It was like required. Everybody that joins the camp had to be examined by the doctor.
Yep.
Yes,
given their
Kitty.
clean bill of health.
Yeah, and she's
hey,
like,
all arms attached?
I'm
Wonder
sorry.
if this arm would fit my new husband.
Sorry, I have terrible news for you. You're going to die.
Eventually.
Eventually.
So yeah, Clover became dead.
Yep, Clover was smashed, and then when you fast forwarded time to get to spring, so the plant would grow to
Cured werewolfism in our dwarf
to
friend.
yep, Clover was magically back, and you didn't
Ta-da!
really ask too many questions about that.
Nope. It's halfling stuff. Who cares about what
That's
they're
like
doing?
that's like the theme of the campaign. Like things would just happen, and you'd just like, not gonna look into that any deeper.
We were very busy trying to steal a spaceship.
You did. You successfully stole the spaceship.
Ugh. Yeah, a lot of stuff happened in the camp. There was like these demon people. There was a guy with a knife. There was
Mm.
a lunch lad. There were too many people to actually meet and talk to, so they were not. They
Mhm.
were in some ways all characters, but not on our radar.
Yep.
And we did.
I kept. There was one character named Noah. They talked to like once, and he was like, "I'm not talking to you. You're not a pretty girl." And they're like, "Okay, never talking to that guy again." And then he died in the machine gun incident. And I kept bringing him up and be like, "Oh, poor Noah." And they're like, "We didn't even like that guy." But he had a dog, and they could have adopted the dog, and they didn't do that.
No, we had an owl bear that the plant dwarf had adopted, and during the fast forward got big.
Mm-hmm.
Big owl bear named Bingo. Which is a dog's name, so it's like having a dog.
Yeah, the dog that died in the beginning was named Cat. And Roberto at one point adopted a fox and named it Dog. Like,
Classic.
okay, whatever.
Wow. Okay, other people in the camp. There was Mikhail.
Mihail, yeah. So Mihail was from a campaign that I played in called the Plague Campaign. It's hard to explain.
He's like a burly blonde sun worshiper.
Yeah. He was like the bastard son of the king who grew up in the brothels, and he was very pretty and very dumb. He would do things that he thought were righteous and were really not very good. So he had been cursed by his own goddess, so that whenever he tried to heal people, it injured them instead. But he blamed that curse on the evil moon goddess, and he didn't understand why his goddess had forsaken him for blatant murder.
And so, yeah, there was an incident where a guy named David got possessed by a knife that wanted to chop limbs off. And one of the demon guys, it was Jacob's arm, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So there was this arm just lying around, unused. And so Dr. White just gave Mikhail a third arm. Like a north. It's just. Like you do.
So I had a lot of fun with the time skip where you all left and things were, kind of normal. And, 5 months later, you are there and, a person that was dead was back. A person has an extra arm. Why is this lady wearing a wedding dress and covered in blood? Like,
we're surrounded by the Shogun's army.
Yeah. And you didn't ask any questions about any of it. Just like, yep, that's our new reality.
Yeah. So was it Lane or Ashitani that got us on the ship? Someone tore the door off the ship.
Oh, that's Lane.
Lane did that. Okay.
She's a Nosferatu from Vampire the Masquerade. who is very strong. She also had a special power, which I don't remember the name of it right now. She could essentially break anything.
Yeah. She offered to break all sorts of stuff for us.
Yeah.
Very gullible.
Yes. Yeah. She just followed whoever talked to her last, essentially.
So yeah, on board the ship, we discovered the rest of the anchor items that Reiko had collected.
Yeah, there was lots of things in there. So she had taken the anchor items from many of the people to coerce them into cooperating with her army.
Which really, means that we were in the right in trying to overthrow her. Like, we're the good guys.
I don't know that there are any good guys in that situation.
It was us. Yeah, I just want you to describe some of those items that, you very kindly offered us
Right.
as loot.
I wonder if I
For the
have
party.
notes for that still.
Oh, that'd be cool.
No.
Because, like, there was enough ambiguity in the items that we couldn't really just at a glance tell who they went with, especially since we hadn't met everybody.
Yeah.
Because it'd be like, hey, you get your item back, you're free. Sort of.
Yeah, Sasha specifically asked for hers, which she did in fact find. Which is a big red gem, which wasn't particularly menacing.
No. Reiko's item was a crown.
Yeah, it was one of the most powerful items in the game, which Toblobnorn took and then promptly left the campaign with.
Yep, he just walked out of the campaign with this crown. And it killed someone in front of us. So the crown just like, and you're gone. You fade into non-existence. Just real king baby energy.
I found one. The monkey. There was this like one of those symbol toys.
Yeah. Clapping monkey.
The clapping monkey with the symbols, except that the fur on it wasn't synthetic. It was real monkey fur.
So yeah, these were like in a display room or in boxes in the cargo hold of the ship, and so we looked at many of the items and decided not to touch them for reasons.
Oh, there was the face.
There was a face, and
yeah,
it wanted us to put it on.
Yeah. It was like somebody's face that had been cut off and displayed on a wooden head, and it had like holes around the edge where it had been sewn on to someone.
Yep.
There was the fez with the teeth inside. I know that's your favorite.
It's my favorite. just a fez, and you look inside, it's just a ring of teeth. Who did that belong to? What would have happened if we had given that back to someone?
That belonged to Evelyn.
Oh, great.
Whom you met and immediately murdered.
Was she the Call of Cthulhu lady?
She was a Call of Cthulhu librarian.
Yeah. So, again, for like, stuff to do for the characters, I ended up picking up all of her inventory. And for the rest of the thing, I was like, I don't know what to do. And you'd be like, you have that book. You can look at that book. It's just like this book with like an elder sign scrawled on the cover, and she has some glasses, and she had a gun, I think, or something like that. I don't remember. But
yeah, she did.
No, every time I opened that book, I failed my int check to decipher what the heck it was talking about.
You had her glasses, which you never put on, which would have allowed you to read the book.
Why do I need glasses? I'm an elf. So, I think we know what a fez with teeth does.
There was the goat child.
Oh, we
in
killed
the
that
boxes.
immediately.
Yeah, you did.
It ran out of the ship, but we killed that thing. Just like, oh, we got a toddler with a goat head, an indestructible toddler.
It wasn't indestructible. You killed it very
Exactly.
quickly. Actually, Sasha killed it.
Sasha
me
was an elf
see.
we met at the camp who had a cool bow.
Yeah, she was from a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and it was very obvious when you all met her. She had like intricate silver armor and this cool bow that was like alive with leaves growing out of it, and you were like, that's a D&D character.
So there was a katana in a sheath that went to Hanada.
Mm-hmm.
There was oh, this monkey with symbols, wind up, actual animal fur, expression is sinister.
Yeah.
There was a meat hook.
Yeah. Oh, the meat hook that still had like bits of cloth on it.
Ugh. A briefcase of hair samples.
Ah. Yeah. That belonged to a man that died in the machine gun incident, and you did not lament him. So, yeah, Sam like went around the camp trying to gather information about who could be an organ donor for Ivan's father, who had been incubating the spider dragon eggs. They were carrying around his body, and they're like, we can fix you. And Dr. White was graciously like, yes, of course, I can fix him. I just need spare parts. And so they were going around trying to find spare body parts, and he did really bad on his gather information checks. So he ended up getting stuck with this guy who was just going on and on about how important he was. And that's who the briefcase belonged to.
Did Ivan's dad end up in the groom?
A little bit.
So we found like on the ship we found like a stand-up Fraser labeled groom and a different look on the side, but later we met a Frankenstein in a tuxedo. After Dr. White was wearing a wedding dress. What did there was a green plastic squirt gun with an orange trigger.
Mm-hmm. That belonged to Carol. So she had two. She had the fanny pack and the squirt gun. So it was essentially a squirt gun of holy water, which would have damaged demons and devils and such.
Silver bowl full of blood with white silk ribbon.
That belonged to Sycorax, a vampire. She was a Tremere, so it was used to do a locate spell.
Oh yeah, well, we've done that. A similar ritual in Not a Drop to Drink.
Yep.
Okay.
Her powers were, she was a hacker, so she was not very useful in this world. I think she tried to escape and was immolated by Reiko.
So yeah, we killed Reiko, we stole her spaceship, we ended up downstairs on the spaceship, which was basically like a brig.
Yeah, it's where she put all of the most dangerous people that she couldn't coerce to be on her side.
Yeah. Still mad. Still mad.
Good. Good. I want my campaign to mean something to you.
So there were a bunch of people in these cells, and at the end there is like an old lady who was cool.
Mm-hmm. She refused to tell you her name because names have power.
Exactly. And she had like a mummy curse. She was not the most beautiful woman, but still.
She was a druid, so she could transform into animals.
Yeah, which happened
Mhm.
after we left the camp. She transformed into a big wolf to try to stop the army from killing us all. Because the army showed up after we hijacked the spaceship.
Yeah, because you killed Reiko, which broke the protection spell that was keeping the army at bay.
Oh, right. She had an animal familiar.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we found the broken mirror shards.
Yeah, she had a mongoose
Yeah.
named Daisuke, who you trapped in a bag and I think drop kicked across the camp,
Yeah.
which killed it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, we think that this mongoose is her anchor item, so if we kill the mongoose, then it will defeat Reiko, which was not the case. Um, but when you killed the mongoose, uh, found that the mirror shard was in the bag already that you had.
It wasn't me. I didn't drop kick the
No,
bag.
no, the shards of the mirror were spread between these three items. When Tablobnorn returned to his ancestral home in Adicea, he got three items with a letter from his dad. It was a baby blanket, a teddy bear, and a music box. And they had already found that the frame of the mirror was inside of the teddy bear, and several of the mirror shards were inside of the music box, which Lucinda sang their like the lullaby that their mother used to sing them to open it. And there was one missing, and it was actually sewn into the lining of the baby blanket.
Mm-hmm.
But after finding the mirror shards in the music box and the handle and the bear, they did not look in the blanket. They didn't do anything with the blanket. They're like, let's forget about that.
So yeah, there was
So
a convenient opportunity came up to discuss the contents of that backpack.
yeah. Sometimes you have to, push some information on the characters whether they want it or not.
Yeah. I don't know what I was doing at the time. My character might have been having a nap. That happened a few times. Maybe
Yeah.
I was getting food.
I think you were complicit in the murder of the mongoose. I don't know that you actively helped, but you certainly weren't like, no, let's not kill the mongoose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, this old lady helped us break out of the spaceship, and she turned into a giant wolf, and I called her Egg Smasher. She should suggested that, but it was a cool nickname for someone. And then we met her following us in the forest, and one of the other NPCs we rescued drowned her on dry land. Just summoned water in her lungs.
Mm-hmm.
And I failed all the checks to figure out what was going on.
You weren't the only one there. Ivan was there too, just watching this happen. The woman that said everything in song and said like really ominous, weird things. Started doing a dance to drown the wolf. She saw it as a threat, and you all just watched it happen. So in my campaigns, I like to make everything a choice. Doing nothing is also a choice that has consequences.
So yeah, then we walked to Stockbridge.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a giant tree there for no reason.
The candy forest and the tree of memories.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, all the plants were dead. All the animals were dead. Except
they weren't dead. They were just candy.
But the animals weren't candy.
The animals weren't there. There were no animals.
There were no animals there for some reason. Freaking candy forest. Yeah. So, at the tree, there was a character with a clipboard asking everyone to give their names to get entrance into the tree, which happened by being grabbed by big black tentacles of shadow.
Mm-hmm.
You get dragged into this tree after giving your name. And my character and like there'd been a couple other characters who didn't want to give their name, but my character specifically didn't want to give her name. Because
I'm
she's
sure
undercover.
if Toblobnorn was still with you, he would not have given his name.
No. Or, well, I mean, he was given the name, but not been
Given
on
a
the
fake
list.
name.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's just the dwarves went inside to the dwarf cult, and I stayed outside with all my cool new friends and climbed a tree and fell out of the tree. I didn't actually fall out of the tree. Someone else
did.
Well, Cleveland fell out of the tree. And
yep.
I was falling later.
That was later. Yeah.
I didn't die or go into a coma. Also, the tree ate a dragon.
Yeah, so the Tree of Memories was there to fill in Sam's backstory. Because the player character was lazy when he submitted his information and was just like, my character has memory loss. I don't know what happened.
But he kept the best notes.
So he had to decide at that point what had happened in his backstory. So he was essentially playing in real time through his character's memories and deciding what had happened.
Right.
In which he found that he was actually the one that got Maeve killed and used the Jade Dragon key to bring her back to life, or some simulacrum of her.
Yeah. All right. Then the army followed us for some reason.
Well, the army was just on their way to Adicea. They weren't actually following you.
They were following us.
You just happened to be going to the same place.
Just like, goodbye, army, and then we're both walking the same direction. What is this?
I hate when that happens. It's so awkward.
And the tree turned into sludge.
Yeah, after you completed the memory, well, the tree had been infected by the Onyx Dragon, which is why it was filled with ominous birds and black tentacles.
Yeah.
And the tree, having fulfilled its duty, turned into black sludge. You had also crashed the alien spaceship into it, so it was like stuck there. Because you all don't know how to fly a spaceship.
It became crashed into the giant tree, the only landmark in that area of the world. Yeah. Yeah, and what was it? I tried to use like a grappling hook to get out of the tree. I wasn't there for a session, and when I came back, my character was falling, and you were playing free falling.
Yeah. But this is before the spaceship was crashed. So, one of the people that you had met in Reiko's camp, Elizabeth, had commandeered the spaceship after you abandoned it. And she was she and Lane were inside the spaceship and was like using the loudspeaker and be like, come on board, we'll save you. Because you and Ivan had climbed up into the tree to escape from like all the displacer beasts that were on the ground. But the birds were up in there and they were like staring at you menacingly. They weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
They were freaking you out.
How could birds be a problem?
So the spaceship came over and was like hovering near you, and they're like, "Come on board. We'll save you." And Elizabeth, I should say, was lying.
Oh,
She
you
was not a
don't
good
say.
person. But so she had allied herself with the Emperor, and the Emperor was like, "You need to capture these people," and she's like, "Done."
Oh, do you have your dice
So-
tray nearby?
I do not. It's hiding from the cats because they kept peeing in it.
I wanted to show people because, like, not all of the players had dice access, so Angel would roll dice for the team sometimes. But
Yeah,
we
I
don't
mean, I
have to
have
look
dice.
at his tray.
I have
All right.
I have the Lure logo dice vault.
But you can buy it store.loadingreadyrun.com.
Can you? It's not sold
I don't
out?
know. I have no idea.
That's where I did buy it. I don't know if it's still available. Yeah, so sometimes I would roll dice on camera so y'all could see how bad I am at rolling dice. This is a 7.
You also have like a die that's like Japanese, so that we definitely couldn't read it,
Yeah.
even though it's tiny and we couldn't read it anyways.
Yeah, it's in kanji. Which I have so many dice, it's not even funny.
It's a little funny.
What is this? Those are critical role dice. These are incomplete sets. Oh, here we go. I have amethyst dice. Oh, it might be in here. This is random d20s. Nope.
It's a little
Oh,
teeny
here.
tiny one.
Oh yeah, isn't it cute? This is not the smallest dice I own. There's the Dice Friends dice bag. Also available at store.loadingreadyrun.com.
Uh-huh.
This one is full of magic spin downs.
Just like Loading Ready Run.
Yeah, it's true. What's this one? This one I got from RK Post. It's a Nightmare Before Christmas bag. This one is full of D6s. Because the Dragon Age tabletop game uses 3d6. And when I ran that campaign, I bought a lot of sets of 3d6 for like every different NPC. These are metal dice with cats. Well, these are the ones I was using at the end, the opalescent dice.
Yeah, those are cool.
Critical Role. There's like the wedding edition.
More Critical Role?
Yeah, those ones are Critical Role. No, I don't know where my... Oh, no, I know where it is. It's in the kitchen.
Well, we are at time to take another break.
All right.
So we'll be back shortly after these messages.
Molecule. It's wet. It's aqueous.
Welcome back, everybody, to Dice Show, where we talk about dice that we have. I have this little bag of dice that I'll never use because they will damage my stuff.
Oh, no.
So yeah, during the campaign, you... No, we're not looking at that.
I'm cleaning it up.
There we go. Distractions. Shiny. Very hard steel
I can
dice.
tell you why it's brown.
No.
So these dice were being cleaned. They've been soaking for too long. And one of them is a wooden dice that had stain on it, and now the stain is all in the water. And on the other dice.
It's not making some lovely tannin broth for yourself.
No.
Head empty, full of dice.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Everything's
So yeah,
fine.
anyways, okay, I was gonna say if we're looking at this moist dice tray. During the campaign, you kind of evolved your tech setup to
Oh yeah.
use some OBS stuff to show us maps or character art that's bigger than the stuff that was on the website because we had a wiki. And so in the background would be this dice tray just looming,
Yeah.
waiting.
Hold on. I can switch to the scene. 'Cause I have an OBS scene for it.
Oh yeah. There's those goo birds. That's Bowden.
Where's the...
Let's look at everyone's favorite NPC.
Why, who's that?
Well, okay, I meant Naren Vane.
There's
That's
a spider dragon. Naren Vane.
Yeah. You got that big Naren Vane art.
Do I? You all looked at a bunch of NPCs at the end? Yeah. There he is.
Yay! So when T-Blob left, he went to go look for this guy who was rowing a boat into the middle of the ocean. Because there was a demon kraken. There was a demon kraken this whole time.
Yeah,
there was a
they
lot
watched
going
by
on.
that. There's a lot going on. Because I like to make my worlds feel alive. Like there are things happening that you don't necessarily need to interact with. If you did nothing at all, the story would still happen. Which is kind of what happened. So here is the thing. So yeah, Naren Vane is a villain from a D&D campaign. Who my character romanced after kidnapping him. It was fine. He just murdered her parents. And
Yeah, normal relationship, healthy for
everything was
everyone.
fine. There's Reiko.
Can you move Reiko, or should I move your face? Because right now you're wearing Reiko's body.
That's weird. I can move her, I think. I had to unlock her. No, there's... OBS does not like having this many layers.
You just...
There we go.
There you go. Dumped a whole lot of untitled files into OBS. Poor thing, just chugging along. Not made for that.
It really isn't. So I did this art. We're on Casual Horses Club. We can talk about some art.
Yeah.
I did this art. Reiko was from a Pathfinder campaign, which is why she was so very powerful.
And probably why the party hated her on sight.
Not because she was a tiefling.
Because she was
none of that.
powerful.
No racism allowed.
Other than the anti-halfling sentiments of some party members.
Wait, pill-shaped purple boys. I
Oh,
don't
your
know what
dice.
Molly is talking about.
You've got the,
Oh, these!
yeah.
Let me...
Yeah, you have to pull your camera down.
I
Yeah.
have to put it back. Window capture. There's so many
Yeah.
flavors on this. There we go. So these are 4-sided dice that are not caltrops.
Yeah. And you can get dice that are like tops that you spin and they fall down on one side, but I usually find the numbers are really small if you have greater than 6, I'd say, faces on them.
Yeah, they're much more readable on camera than the traditional
Caltrop.
triangle-shaped ones. And less dangerous if you step on them. Oh, there's a green one too. I bought one of these at Gen Con in like 2003 and spent many subsequent years looking for more. And these ones weren't found until like 2012.
Wow.
So wiping them up. This one is powder coated, so it's got a metal exterior despite not being fully metal. So the fully metal dice are very heavy. This one has the nice clickiness of it without the weight.
Iris was asking if those are crystal cased dice.
Yes. Yes. This one's a Chessex. This is a Critical Role. These are Wizard Spin Downs. This one isn't a particular name brand, but I walked by the booth at Gen Con and was like, I need to buy that dice.
Is that a 2-color one?
Yeah, it's like half and half. I had a whole set, but I don't think that I still have
You
the
ate
entire
them all.
set.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of my dice just live in my magic boxes. And there's like I keep a set in theme with the deck.
So I'm being mildly blinded over here. But
I see.
yeah. South facing windows.
I participated in many a Gen Con costume contest. You can see me in their videos, and
I think you showed off some pictures for the cosplay episode
mm-hmm.
of Kent
There's
Club.
There's some pictures, but there's the videos on YouTube of me in the contest. Oh, weird, Kitar Cat.
That is weird. How do you even... Okay, so a lot of D4s, they put numbers in the 3 corners instead of just one on the face. So, like...
Well, there's...
so many dice that wouldn't work for.
I've seen them either on the corners or on the edges. But I've never seen a D4 that's, like, cut the number on the face, because you wouldn't know what face you rolled, right? It's the one on the bottom?
Yeah, yeah. There's my big number D4.
Yeah, this is the one that's in kanji. I got this at PAX.
Because, like, if you were looking at that, what number is that?
That's a 1.
From the bottom. I guess it's
3.
just whatever.
It's the number that's around the bottom edge.
DD dice. All right, I'll check that out. Thanks, Kitar Cat.
Yeah, when you roll dice in Fantasy Grounds, it does the same sort of thing where it'll show you the 4-sided dice inside of a triangle, so it looks like you're looking at the bottom.
Right, so the party split. The favorite NPC is not Naren Vane, it's Mr. Mittens, but
are you gonna make me do the voice?
No, I'm just saying. There was a cat inside the tree.
Yeah.
With a little hat and tie.
Oh, I have this picture there, didn't I?
It's so small.
So small, where is it?
Flashy.
There it is.
That's Mr. Mittens. Lethal Predator.
Perfect.
Furious Destroyer of Fish. Just the best. And then, yeah, the party that was actively playing at the time did attempt to get Angel to use the voice for the rest of the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it's become a meme.
A meme for 4 people in the world.
It's, some
But I
inside
guess
jokes have fewer people.
We're scared. We're
Yeah.
what is the word? Scattering the Mr. Mittens mythology across the internet with this stream.
Exactly. Now everyone will know about Mr. Mittens, and you'll get, like, cold calls, just be like, do the Mr. Mittens voice. But no, you did get me real good during Desert Bus, just popping into chat, just like, nice Mr. Mittens voice. I'm like, now I'm thinking about Mr. Mittens, and I'm trying to do my job. So hard.
I had a lot of fun making you all meet and interact with every character I've ever played in any campaign.
Is Carlson one?
No.
We adopted one of the Empire's soldiers.
Yeah, no, Carlson was in an in-world NPC.
Yeah. And he ended up leaving the destruction of the giant tree with Sludge with a cat with no hat and no tie. Specifically no hat. A cat that no longer had a voice. And we ran out the rest of the campaign with them. Because all we did is we went back to Adicea because we had found a lady? We found Helene in the tree, right?
Yes, so you broke the key on the last dragon prison.
Yay, all the dragons are free now!
Red one. The dragon was already free because he had eaten Tamia, the demon sword, which had given him enough power to break free, despite his prison not being broken. Which is why there was only the one hole in the end. Anyway.
No, we can get to the holes. We can get to all of the holes. Because we went back to Adicea, and everyone in the party's like, hope we don't fall down another hole. Because they'd fallen down like 3 holes, and I'm including the sewer. The sewer counts as a hole.
They didn't fall. They went down there voluntarily, like downstairs. They didn't fall in a hole.
Yeah, and we fell with Sedile down the last hole that magically appeared.
Yeah.
Due to no actions failed by the party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I tried to climb a bookshelf and knocked the library over, and it wrecked a building. But I'm blameless. It was going to happen anyways.
It was going to happen. If you didn't do it, Lane was going to show up and do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because she can break anything.
Sure can. It's her superpower.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine, after I buried her in the forest.
Yeah.
It's fine.
They couldn't figure out how to travel with a vampire during the day, so they just buried her in the forest.
The party didn't even realize some of the NPCs they were encountering were vampires.
When they encountered the vampires at the camp, they had been identified as dangerous and were all chained up. And then they're like, Reiko's evil for chaining up these ladies.
Yeah,
but
and in the wiki they're all tagged with kindred.
Yeah, Elaine is so sweet that she could have broken out of the chains at any moment, but was like, well, the chains make everyone else feel better, so I'm just going to leave them on.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So yeah, the whole party came back together. We freed the King of the Elves from his daily executions because he was immortal now and kept coming back to life, and everyone thought it was really fun to just kill him every day. because he caused some problems.
There was more reason for that.
Eh.
The Elven Underground, who was trying to fight the tyranny of the Sapphire Dragon, was building an army of their own of dragons made out of the blood of the king and the souls of elves that were sorcerers.
They made a paper mache dragon.
Yeah, they made paper mache dragons and then used magic to bring them to life. And so whenever you guys killed one of these dragons, it would revert to its paper form. And so you all just thought dragons were fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were encouraging the daily execution of the king so they could collect more of his blood to build their army.
Oh, all right.
But also the Sapphire Dragon went along with it because he's vain, and the king failed to successfully bring all of the elves since his defeat outside the walls of the city of Craith. And so he was being punished for his failures. But he was immortal because when Moira brought him back to life, it was essentially a curse of life.
Right.
That the other player also suffered from. Every time he died in battle, he would like come back at 1 hit point, and then he would get killed again, and then he would come back at 1 hit point. Throughout the campaign, everyone died, and you were brought back by the grace of the Quetzalcoatl, who was like, you need to finish this.
No nap time. Come on, chop chop. So yeah, there were a lot of elven prisoners that were part of like a construction program, and some of them had made hang gliders for themselves. And so we jumped down this hole, and at the bottom, we're not going to show the art because that art isn't worth looking at.
I can show it. It's not worth looking at, but I can show it anyway.
I can just describe it. The walls were 4 colors, and there were like these big holes in them that were portals to the dragon realms, the dragon prison areas. But when we went inside them, if we did the correct thing, the holes sealed and the wall became just a solid color. And 2 out of 4. We got 2 out of 4. Some people died multiple times, Sokar. Everyone died once.
Yeah, everyone died at least once. And they were brought back in different ways with different powers and drawbacks.
Mm-hmm. Only some people could see or hear my character.
Yeah, so you were killed by a character named Rose, who was a Vampire the Masquerade character, that I made for a campaign that never happened.
Right.
So you were cursed with not existing, because she had like a whole backstory and a personality and everything, and she never got to be real.
Yeah, I met a ballerina in a dream and she killed me.
You had a choice. You were given a variety of characters whose powers you could have inherited, and you chose the one that doesn't exist. I mean, this is like everyone was given a choice about their curse or powers. Meek had the banquet with Rael. You had the dream with the many ladies in it. The Tablabnorn had been poisoned by the spider dragons, and he was given a choice from the Onyx Dragon about what power to inherit, and he chose the bird, despite in real life being afraid of birds. It's very strange. Strange choice.
Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think Ivan was really the only one that wasn't, well, given like a big decision like that. He died in the fight with the Oracle, and the Oracle brought him back with the curse of undying. So he would not fall unconscious at lethal damage. He just had to walk around with, his guts spilling out and stuff.
Yeah. Which was really great with his Berserker axe, animating him to just be a murderous fiend. There we go. There's one of the holes.
Yeah, so you all ended up in this area for tying up the ends of the campaign where you were intended to choose an event that directly led to the release of a dragon and prevent that event from happening. So some of them had multiple holes. So like the green one. Cat, get down.
Yeah, the green one had 3 holes.
Yeah, so there were different events that you could have ended up at.
That's all the NPCs from the camp.
Yep. There. Okay. So in addition to the art of the 3 holes, I had notes about which hole was which thing.
Oh, I think the smell test worked.
Yeah, so you all went to each hole and like smelled it, and I had to make up what this event smelled like.
Yeah.
To give you clues about what you were picking.
And then I went in the holes and I ate the grass because it could be candy. And it was nothing, so. Which is really horrible. Like, you've got like these god figures and you're trapping them in a low definition digital world, basically.
Yeah, they spent a decent amount of time in the Shadow Dragon realm when they went there from Valbanil the first time. And it was just empty. It was like a rocky outcropping with fog and shadow for as far as the eye can see, with nothing interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The character that they rescued had been imprisoned there for 3 years. And there was an animated Trey that would come and bring him his food.
Aww.
That he made friends with, and he called it Trey.
Trey's the real hero of this campaign.
Yeah.
I hope Trey and Mr. Mittens are out there somewhere, living their best life. I was pretty sure that we were just gonna fail and the world would end.
I was prepared for that eventuality.
Yeah. Gosh. For, like, the NPCs, was it less work to use the ones you already had played? Like, you kind of just had all the information kicking around? Or was that, like, did it cause issues, like, trying to keep facts sorted?
No, it didn't cause issues. So I think there was, I wouldn't say that it was easier, but it made them more rich. Because I knew all of the things that had happened to them up to that point and was familiar with their personalities, even though you weren't. So I was able to make them act consistently, I suppose.
Mhm.
Whereas if it's just like a one-off NPC, you meet a merchant, I don't necessarily have a rich backstory for this merchant that you walk into.
Yeah.
I still, whenever I make an NPC, I start with 3 words always of like describing their personality. Are they selfish? Are they optimistic? Are they rich? Just like 3 adjectives just to describe either their personality or their situation.
Right.
Which then lets me build a backstory on the fly if I have to. I'm like, we're gonna go into this bar and we're gonna start questioning the patrons or the bartender, like, tell me your life story. Like, okay, we can do that. It's not a thing that I prepared, but now it will be important.
I'm just looking at, because we've got character profiles, and we've got, like, the Brackenwood Sheriff, exhausted and annoyed, and right under that is Caleb, which is Crispy Eagle Scout, which is not how he started.
The descriptions changed as the circumstances changed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Caleb was a Boy Scout from a Call of Cthulhu campaign.
He should have ducked. You know?
Yeah, so when the Red Dragon with the army attacked Reiko's camp, you all were with a group of refugees, of which Caleb was one of them. And Amik had a choice of accepting the blast from the Red Dragon's fire breath or ducking and letting it hit Caleb.
Yep.
And Caleb, like, just hours before had been like, aren't you going to save that person? You're a hero, aren't you?
Yep. It was so touching. And then Amik didn't even remember his name later.
No.
Oh gosh, no, the camp thing you did, because we had the character index, you made some disappear. And the party could not tell who was missing.
Yeah.
So I guess,
yeah, there was a...
counting on your party members' memories is...
That's the first session that you sat in on.
Yeah.
That's what was happening. There was a shift in reality, and a bunch of the people, the NPCs they had met, vanished. And they had to remember their names to bring them back. And I had actually gone into the wiki and hidden all of the characters that had vanished, so they couldn't use it as a reference. They had their own notes and their own memories to work with. And they did not bring everyone back.
No. Yeah, I don't know, because, like, I built my character to sort of solve puzzles, not necessarily be a wizard and cast flashy spells because of the high cost to do magic, even though I had a lot of buffs for that. So it was like I had all the magic languages, I had, like, 2 intelligence specializations, and I failed all of those rolls all the time. But I think I did manage to, like, help. It's hard to say if anything I did got any threads connected. Like, I think at the end it was fun because we were split into kind of 3 groups, and so you took turns letting everyone kind of make decisions to end things, but yeah, at the end I was definitely not helping.
Well, I think a lot of the stuff that happened in the end, like, I tried to bring it back to stuff that had happened in the beginning, and you weren't there for the beginning,
No.
so I think that didn't resonate with you as much as the other players.
Also, it was kind of like it's like their big moment.
Yeah, so the 2 players that had started off, the Roberto and Tablabnorn, who had left the campaign, came back for the finale, and their story, they weren't with the group, so they were, like, catching up. They started back further in time. They made decisions that affected things going forward. The army that Roberto joined and created the uniforms for.
Because he was a fashion designer. But you also, since it was kind of his story, let him basically direct where the army went.
Yeah, but I knew that he was going to do that. You all met the black t-shirted halfling army earlier on. Because I knew that was going to happen.
So we were all just dancing to your tune.
Yeah, Lucinati, I explained the system earlier. It's a combination of things, but if you look at the Dark Lore campaign primer on DriveThru RPG, that's the general rule system. Also, I can just share the Obsidian Portal link. This is going to stay
Yeah.
up forever.
Yeah. There's not a lot, like, the players didn't really use it.
No, it helped me keep track of the NPCs. It's got the lore of all the cities in it, which is one of the first things I wrote for the campaign. I had the list of the city names from the anime, but they didn't have any descriptions or anything about the cities. So I wrote all those myself. That's where the animals as the elf Alas names originated.
Mm-hmm.
I needed a hook into each city about why is the city different from the other ones? How is it run? What's its economy based on? Who lives there? That sort of thing.
Yeah, you also have, like, all of the races kind of laid out, like, what their history is. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So in the end, you closed 2 of the 4 dragon walls, which had the effect of sealing that magic away from the world, which means that you have effectively removed all healing magic from the world.
A job well done!
And all the offensive magic, because you closed the red one. The blue and the red ones are the ones that you closed.
All it cost was the life of
Right.
one NPC.
Did you close the black one too?
The black
Go
one
back.
was the elf falling out of the tree, right?
No, that was blue.
That was blue.
Yeah, no, you closed the black one too. That was Boden.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
Because
you
I gave him the clover statue.
You stopped him from bringing back his dead wife that you killed.
She got stepped on by a dragon, it's fine.
The second time.
The second time, after she was brought back the first time. Yeah.
So you left the world with only nature magic.
As it should be, you know? Nature is healing. Gosh, no, the absolute scale of wreckage.
Oh yeah, because the army that was going east just came upon every city, and I got to describe what was left in each city after the party was done with it.
Yep.
And
then that army, like, killed the town. It took over Brackenwood or whatever.
Well, they kind of raided Brackenwood for supplies, killed a bunch of people, and then left.
Killed a bunch of starving people.
Yeah.
No, but it's just... I don't know, if this is the way campaigns end, maybe it's a good thing none of the other ones I've played have reached a conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, I played in other campaigns that have ended. Dr. White got her wedding.
Oh,
That was the finale. That was great. They got to summon an army of mermaids, and it was great fun because the heart of the groom is a mermaid's heart.
oh! That's good for him. Or her. Whichever one of them appreciates it more.
The Dragon Age campaign I ran ended with everyone becoming gods, and some of them liking it more than others. Oh wait, do I have the picture of Dr. White? I did that art too. Dr. Squirrel, no. Oh, it's underneath the dice camera.
Oh,
No, that's not the
that's
art
not.
that I did.
No, that's a magic card, isn't it? What is that? Or
That
like
was the
from a game.
Yeah. I think that was from a book. That was the, like, original conceit of Dr. White. Yalka's very kindly lasered my Dr. White art into a piece of wood for me that I need to get around to painting.
It's blood, 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 blood.
So much blood. No, that's not the right art either. Oh, wait, is it on my iPad? I bet it is. There she is.
Yeah, that's it. That's our favorite
Uh,
doctor.
It's not showing up here. There she is.
A face you can trust. Ah, yeah. No, I definitely appreciated playing a game off screen. Like,
Oh, because we didn't use face cams?
well, no,
Or also not
because it wasn't
streaming?
a stream. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There was no audience. I was the audience.
Ew, I don't think it would have made a very good stream.
People would have been so mad.
Yeah.
Oh, the party has a nap? Okay.
Screaming at the characters, why aren't you doing anything?
Yeah, it was not content. And it was during a period of time when Dice Friends wasn't broadcasting or anything, and it was the first time since moving here that I've played in a campaign. I've done like one-offs with people. But it was just like a whole range of stuff available because it wasn't supposed to be like for a general audience.
Oh yeah, when the bunny got smashed,
Oh yeah, that would have
No
upset
one-
people.
no one would have liked that.
No, everyone would have tuned out. It would have like sicked PETA on us, this imaginary bunny that got crushed. It was a transmogrified character. Like,
Yeah, that's how you break transmogrify.
yeah, you crush the bunny.
I did some dark things.
And then you brought them into the campaign. Like Dr. White. Dr. White's technically a little dark. Technically.
Oh yeah.
I mean, sure, she's a big softie and a romantic, but she's also a Frankenstein.
Every time you encountered her, she was reading a romance novel. Lethausel, welcome to the stream.
Yeah, I mean, we've got only like a few minutes left if chat has any questions. Not about what happened to the rabbit, and I've told people what happened to the clapping man before. We told that story on Desert Bus. Because I don't know, it's hard to, I don't know, collaborate on the stories and then have like big moments that no one else sees. I guess it's like, oh, what did you do during your day? Well, I crashed a spaceship into a giant tree. Because I can't drive.
I think that failures make for more entertaining story than successes in terms of dice rolling. I mean, there was the natural 20 diplomacy check to convince the guy that the bridge was real. Like, sometimes I like to turn your successes into failures.
Yeah, that was a
Like-
thing.
You did the thing that you were trying to do, but it wasn't what you expected would happen.
What would you do different next time? Well, I would make a character totally different. I would not just end up defaulting to like a ranger rogue build again. It seems to happen a lot. I did the same thing in Baldur's Gate at the same time. It's just like, oh, maybe I need some ranger levels so that I'm not as useless.
Yeah. What would I do different? So I might give the characters more levels. I think you ended the campaign at like level 8.
Yep. Which is fine. Most of the campaigns I've played have been like low level, so I'm not used to... I've never hit like level 8 outside of like a one shot.
Yeah, there was 0 combat in the final session. Just because we didn't have time for that. Combat is quite a slow, arduous process.
And the sessions were like usually 2 hours.
Yeah, there's short sessions once a week. I would have liked if it could be slightly longer sessions, but we were in different time zones, so I couldn't keep up the East Coast people very late. So the sessions were kind of short, which is okay sometimes. But like prior to that, I had been used to playing in a weekly Saturday game where we just went to one guy's house and spent all day there. We like take break for dinner and play for like 8 to 10 hours. And then with the advent of online, people don't have the time or patience for that sort of thing.
I'm so gung-ho for doing something like that. I would not want to do that online.
Right, yeah. So when I moved out here, I was still playing in a Call of Cthulhu campaign with those people. And they were all at the guy's house, and I was trying to dial in on the phone. It lasted a while, but it was hard to like hear. They were kind of talking over each other, and so it didn't last. But I did get to see them at Chaosium Con, so that was fun.
Is that an Eastern convention?
Midwest. Chaosium is the company that publishes some of the Call of Cthulhu books.
Okay.
So yeah, I spent a weekend out there playing in like 3 different campaigns every day, or 3 different one-shots every day. That's where Caleb, the Crispy Eagle Scout, came from. He was a poor little kid who was picked on by his peers for liking creepy things.
I don't know. Skill issue. Don't be in the dragon's path.
Yeah, I understand that I have the ability to focus on one thing for a very long time, that other people don't have that same sort of thing. Just different people.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to adapt to the group. Like, not all groups have the same needs. So, especially when you're running the game, to pay attention. Are your players having fun? Are they engaged? You know, what is their tolerance for villain monologues, you know?
Or NPCs talking to each other. That's always a thing.
Yeah, you all did a lot of making me talk to myself.
That was on
Like,
purpose.
these things are happening. What do you want to do? I'm just going to stand here and see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Like,
All
no.
the NPCs were smarter
Okay.
than us. They knew more. They were
I
more
mean, they
powerful.
did. You could have taken out Mr. Mittens if you wanted to. You just had no desire.
Now I want you to do the voice, but you don't have to.
What do I need to say? Should I sign off in the Mr. Mitten voice?
Yeah, all right.
That-
Thank you for joining me today, Angel.
Hold on, I need to prepare myself. You've hyped it up so much,
I
everyone's
know,
gonna be disappointed.
It's only gonna be fun for me.
Oh, you've never seen my face while I do it.
I have. Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Wait, when?
We were talking and I made you do it.
Oh, okay.
I've done that more than once. Come on. Once you pop, you can't stop.
Now I have to stop laughing.
Sorry.
Thank you for watching Catch All Horses Club. I've been Mr. Mittens, the perfect predator. You better watch again next week, or I'll find you.
So if anyone wants to follow Angel, they could do that. J Amethyst on Twitter and Twitch. He streams Thursdays. You're working on an art by chance.
I am. I'm painting this dog.
I can make that big for people.
I killed Corey.
It's all get better.
That's the dog I'm working on. I pay every Thursday, 7:30 Pacific. I have changed my username because I don't want to be associated with things that are associated with those two letters. So you can find me on Hive, on Twitter, on Twitch as AVJ Amethyst, and YouTube
Amethyst?
AVJ Amethyst.
Okay.
Now I need a drink.
I broke one of my toys, so I'm trying to put his leg back on.
Unfortunately, my Mastodon is still AI Amethyst. I'm going to be working on trying to get that changed at kind.social. You can find me on here, Loading Runners Catch All Horses Club sometimes.
Yeah.
Also on Tap Toe Claws. I played some Jackbox with her. And now that I have my Wednesdays free, you might see me there more often playing some Commander.
Oh. That sounds fun. All right, then.
Yeah.
Thank you again, and goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody!